Hello and welcome to our video containing an overview of Year 11 at Smithills. My name is Mr Harrison and I'm Director of Learning for Year 11. I'm going to be talking you through this presentation which will give you an overview of what to expect from Year 11 over the next 8 months. As you will be fully aware, Year 11 is a hugely significant year for all of our students. It is a year that you sit your GCSE exams, something which you've been preparing for since you began your educational journey in your reception class of your primary school all those years ago. It's also a year when you make decisions about what you do after high school, whether it be college, apprenticeships or vocational programmes. Unfortunately, as you'll also be aware, this is a year like no other due to the coronavirus. To start the presentation, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about what we at Smithills School are doing regarding the coronavirus. I'm going to run you quickly through the gaps in learning and making up for lost time. I'm going to run you through the zones, groups and rules that we currently have in place at Smithills to keep our students safe. I'm going to talk a little bit about blended learning and what that means going forward. And finally, I'm going to talk you through how students will actually be assessed this year. Unfortunately, we have missed a significant chunk of time at the end of Year 10. Some students missed their exams in English literature and citizenship, and although they've received qualification, they missed a valuable learning experience through no fault of their own. Because the government recognises the time that we've missed in school, there have been some curriculum reductions in some subjects, and they have decided that Year 11 is going to be extended by 3 weeks and that students will have 3 weeks more study time before their examinations compared to previous Year 11s. However, we do recognise it's still a tough year for our students, full of challenging work. Another challenge of the current climate is presented by the coronavirus. To address this and to ensure that all our pupils at Smithills are safe and working to the maximum potential, we have put some changes to rules and groupings. All years are now in their own bubbles. Year 11 do not mix with other year groups at break or at lunch or in any of their lessons. All of our students wear face coverings as they're moving around school at all times. There is hand sanitizer in every single classroom and students are being asked by their teachers to put this on at the start of every lesson and upon leaving every lesson. We also have split lunches so that there is no cross-contamination of our year group bubbles during those times, and a staggered finish to the school day, beginning at 3:05 and finishing with the Year 11s at 3:15. In addition to this, Public Health England are also contacted whenever we have a possible case of COVID in the school, and we follow their advice when it comes down to isolating individual students or entire year groups. A significant worry about the current COVID situation is that students could potentially miss more classroom time in the future through no fault of their own. To address this, at the end of last year we introduced a blended approach to learning at Smithills, which is blending our classroom learning with online learning. If you have to isolate, all students will have work set on Teams. They will receive exactly the same amount of work on Teams that they would receive in school. So for all of our Year 11s, this will be 5 hours of work a day. It's essential that students who are isolating and off school for any reason complete the work to ensure they don't get behind. The last thing we want is students having to isolate through no fault of their own, missing work and coming back and finding school more difficult as a result. Students need to log in with exactly the same details as they use at the school on the school computers. And if students are struggling to access Teams, or don't have a computer at home, don't have the internet at home, or don't know their password, you need to let us know as soon as possible, and we will address this to make sure that all of our students can take part in our blended learning at Smithills. An additional question that you may well have is, how will students be assessed this year? To make sure that all of our students are addressed accurately and receive the grades that they deserve for their work at Smithills, we have several things in place. The students will sit their first round of PPE examinations in November 2020. This is a full set of mock examinations in all of their subjects, which will be graded in exactly the same way as their GCSEs, helping us get a really clear picture of where our students are currently working and where they should be working at the end of the year. In addition to this, we actually have full GCSE examinations in January in several subjects, including sports studies and sports science, BTEC enterprise, BTEC travel and tourism and BTEC childcare. When we get to March, we have another full round of PPE examinations. Again, these are sat in a hall, exactly the same as GCSE examinations and graded in the same way. We will then, after that set of PPE examinations, enter student assessment grades for all of our pupils in Year 11. These are based heavily on their PPEs and heavily on their classwork to ensure that all of our students get a grade that they deserve. Finally, all of our students will begin their GCSE examinations in full on the 10th of May 2021. This will allow them to get GCSE grades in all of their subjects. I am now going to move on to talk about the most important part of Year 11, preparing for your GCSE examinations. I like to think that preparing for your GCSEs is a little like preparing for a marathon. If you begin your training well in advance, nice and early, if you break your training down into manageable chunks, if you research what you have to do thoroughly and 100% clear about how to complete the challenge ahead of you, then it may be hard work and difficult at times, but ultimately you will be able to achieve success. Unfortunately, if you leave it to the last minute, if you don't train, if you don't prepare, then you are going to find success absolutely impossible. So, how do you prepare for success? Luckily, the answer is relatively straightforward. You need to ensure that you prepare for a success with effective revision. In this section, I'm going to be telling you how you can be clear, get organised, know how to revise, use online revision to support you, and use the available support. First, it's being clear. You need to be clear on the plan for this year. Your first set of PPEs begin on the 11th of November, which is only 1.5 weeks after half term. You have some full GCSE examinations in January, which is only 2 school weeks after the PPEs. You have your full PPEs again, which begin on the 1st of March, in just 5 school weeks after the January GCSEs, and your final GCSEs begin on the 10th of May, which is only 8 school weeks after your final set of PPEs. After 7 weeks of those examinations, you are finished for the year. In total, that's only 23 school weeks, not including holidays, left until Year 11 is completely finished. You need to make sure that you are using this time effectively. In form recently, you have been given the Year 11 PPE timetable for the mock examination series of November and December 2020. All of these examinations take place in the school hall, and they're a combination of walking, talking mocks and full mock GCSE examinations. On your timetable, it tells you who is taking part, whether it's B band, C band or specific classes, and it tells you when the exam is taking place. It will tell you the day and the date and the period that you need to be in the hall. The final column also tells you what examination is taking place and whether it's a walking, talking mock, which is a lesson where teachers taught you through how to complete an examination, or a formal examination. So, now that you know when your examinations are, you need to get yourself organised for them. On the Year 11 page of the school website, you will find a link to a revision calendar. This calendar clearly outlines the schedule for this year. All that's left for you to do is complete it with details of the subjects that you are going to revise and the length of the time that you are going to spend revising for them. At Smithills, we recommend that you spend at least 1 hour each evening revising a subject between now and the March PPEs. At this point, you want to start stepping it up to a couple of hours each evening. Try to revise more than one subject each evening, dividing it up into 2 30-minute slots, and try to divide your subjects up evenly. This variety helps you to stay focused. You also need to make sure that you revise for all your subjects, not just those you like. You may prefer one subject to another, but if you don't revise some subjects as much as others, you're setting yourself up to fail. When you've prepared your timetable, put it up in a public place in the house. Put it on your living room wall, your fridge, somewhere where the whole family can see it. This will help you to stick to your schedule, and it also lets everybody in your household know what you are doing and when you are revising. It will really help you to get it right. Once you've prepared your timetable, you need to know how to revise in each of your subjects. Every single subject at Smithills School you have a classroom book for. This is full of valuable notes, information and revision material that you need to be able to do your examination. On top of that, with the blended learning, we have Teams work. There is a ton of work on Teams, and most subjects will you be setting your specific revision tasks to be completed on Teams throughout the year. You may also want to buy revision guides. These can be found for nearly every single subject that you study, and you need to speak to your classroom teachers to find out which revision guides are best for your subject. On top of this, we will be looking at more and more revision strategies and lessons throughout the year. These will be building up and up and up until you have a whole range of strategies at your fingertips that you can use to help you revise. Finally, online you can find loads of mock examinations, mock questions for you to practice. I can guarantee that if you spend the time at home revising, practicing questions and writing responses to bring them in for your teachers to mark, they will mark them and give you feedback. It will make a massive difference to your summer GCSE results. You also need to know how to use online resources. These will help you take control of your own revision. Every subject has a multitude of online resources that you can use to help you revise, and the vast majority of them are absolutely free for you to use. There's key websites for each subject, and I've shown them on this slide for you. There's a poster available on the link of the Year 11 area of the school website linking to all of these websites. I recommend that you print off a copy of these, or you collect one from myself at the Year 11 office to use at home. You can update it as you find your own useful websites for each of your subjects throughout the year. My next piece of advice is that you need to use the support available to you. To support your exam preparation, we run a series of Session 6 sessions after school in the majority of your subjects. Some subjects run for all students, and some subjects just target specific groups of students to work with at different stages in the year. If you're not sure which session you need to go to, you need to speak to your teachers, and they will help you find out when and where you should be attending throughout the year. You can see the green week Session 6 timetable here, and the orange week Session 6 timetable here. Finally, you need to use the support provided by us. If you're struggling, tell us. We're aware Year 11 is a difficult year, and we're here to help. Speak to your subject teachers if you're struggling in their subject. Speak to your form tutors if you have general questions about Year 11. I'm also available, as is Mr. Freestone, if there's any time that you need any resources or you're finding things particularly difficult. In fact, anybody in school will help you if you ask for it. In addition to this revision advice, each student has been given a mini guide in form before half term containing a brief outline of our top 10 tips for revision. These include tips such as advice on how to create a suitable working environment to make sure you're maximising your learning out of school. Advice on how to avoid distractions. There's a bit of a clue here. It involves giving your phone away to somebody whilst you're revising. It also gives you advice on staying positive. We know this can be difficult to do at times, and if you're finding it difficult to stay positive, please ask for that support that I've mentioned previously. Finally, being ambitious. This is a massive year for you, and you need to be ambitious and confident that you will do well. If you believe, you will achieve. Finally, I want to emphasise that although GCSEs are a massive part of Year 11, they're not the only thing that our students need to be working hard on to prepare for life after Smithills. To ensure that all our students can take the next step towards the future they want, whether that's in further education, apprenticeships, vocational qualifications, or entering the world of work, we have a range of support on offer this year. There are weekly careers sessions with Miss Isaacs for all students. There are weekly talks from college and further education providers in form time. We offer support with all applications and CV writing during Session 0 and during appointments with Miss Isaacs. And we have personal careers appointments available for all of our students. Finally, we have a mock job application and interview day on the 15th of January, which is a fantastic experience about what it's like to get into the workplace for all of our Year 11 pupils. So thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope that it's given you a bit of a picture about what we expect Year 11 to look like over the next 8 months. If you have any questions about Year 11 or anything else related to your son or daughter, please either speak to Mr. Harrison in school, email Mr. Harrison at r.harrison@smithillsschool.net, or you can contact us through Facebook and the school website. Post any questions and we'll get back to you. And in conclusion, to ensure success this year, students need to make sure that they are preparing for success now. Be clear, get organised, know how to revise and how to use the support available. Don't delay, start now, and you will make this year a success.